Holy moly, Garland Nixon back with Matt Weinglass for part 2. Let us get going. All right, we are back, and we had technical difficulties, all kinds of things happen. We're back. We're going to get going, and we'll go up to the time that I got to go to my chiropractor for my poor old mangled back. Anyway, let's get going. Okay, let's make a move here. So David Ellison and the Zionist billionaires have decided they got the situation covered. Barry Weiss, a stellar intellect, I might say. They put her in charge of CBS, and man, what a disaster. Erica Kirk's on, and they look like a couple of schmucks. I mean, I was watching the other day. Well, we talked about it. I told you where I saw that former football player, and the poor guy looked like he was in a hostage video, and everything is anti-Semitism all the time. It's the ZBS News. Your thoughts, Matt?
ZBS News for sure. I mean, they basically, by putting in Barry Weiss, and let's be clear, she's not a journalist, okay? So this is the person they decided was best face for their new operation, which is basically Fox News meets I-24 with, you know, a little DEI and a rainbow flag sprinkled in. That's what they're going for. And they're getting that because you take this news formula that, you know, CBS is, we know decades and decades of CBS being kind of at least pretending to be a good news outlet. Now they're not even pretending anymore. You stick a menorah in the middle of the news, the main seat, and you got your guest coming in. You're like, what are you doing here? That disastrous town hall with Erica Kirk, that was just the tip of the iceberg. It's only getting worse since then. We're hearing from their employees at CBS. They're telling us how bad it is. That there was somebody who told us about how the 60 Minutes story that was pulled because they didn't want Trump to look bad with the illegal deportations that were supposed to go to Venezuela. They're Venezuelans that got sent to El Salvador. So they pulled that off the air, and they want to switch it up with another town hall with Alan Dershowitz. So whoever's making these decisions is not somebody who's being pretty smart about this at all. But maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care what it looks like. They just own it, and we got to separate those two issues, Garland. We're talking about they're doing a bad job with presentation, but maybe that doesn't matter because the more important thing is that they own it, and they're going to continue buying up all of these media outlets. So it won't even matter if we don't like it. They're just going to own it all.
That's it. I think you're right. They'll own it. And it's like this. If I'm Larry Ellison, I didn't buy ZBS. I didn't buy it to make a profit. So what do I care if it loses money? I didn't buy it to make a profit. This is not a media outlet. This is a Zionist public relations firm. Nothing else. Now they're going to get a CNN, which will soon be CNN, will soon be CNN. Same thing. So what you'll have in the United States, you know what it is? I remember a while back talking about Ukraine and saying whatever they do comes here. So they had a bunch of media outlets, right? They had, I think, 6 main TV stations. They shut them all down except one. They folded them into one, and that one just shows like nonstop war propaganda 24 hours a day. That comes from like MI6 and the CIA, right? What they did there, at that time, I said that's what they're going to do here. That's all they're doing. You buy them, you fold them all into one. At some point, CBS News and CNN should just play the same stuff. We got Alan Dershowitz. Next, we have an ode to the Stern Gang or something like that, and you just show and this is why you've been lied to about the liberty all day long. What do they care?
Yeah, well, it's even worse because now you have this entertainment element of the media corporations are buying. You have Paramount, you have you have the social media element, you have TikTok, but You know, so all of these, they're basically getting it from every element of communication, whether it's news or entertainment, but it's about getting into every one of our screens at all times. So it won't even matter what channel you flip on. It's going to be this state propaganda, specifically Israel state propaganda. And now we have this WB deal we've been looking at, how they're going to pull this off. It's pretty remarkable watching this thing unfold. It's going to be a little harder for Ellison to pull this one off, but it looks like it's going in his direction, and that's going to be really, really bad from the entertainment side of things here in Hollywood.
So Ellison's going to own, it looks like, the whole Paramount CBS thing. He's going to own CNN and all of that stuff. He's going to, which is, I think, Netflix, Warner Brothers. In other words, one guy's going to own everything. And not one person, but excuse me, the Zionists are going to own all of that, and social media. They've got, Twitter. If anybody thinks that that's some free speech platform, good luck believing that crap. I'll put it like this: I used to be able to say, I would search, if I search my name. Let's say you go in there and search my name, you would find all the latest. Like I did Galloway yesterday. Mm-hmm. Usually, if you search my name right after I went after Galloway, you would find hundreds and hundreds. People were like, he was a jerk, he was great, whatever, right? Now, I go on Galloway, you search my name, you'll find maybe 2 things, and then the next one will be 4 days old. In other words, nobody put anything up for Garland Nixon for the last 4 days, even though he was on Galloway an hour ago. So it's obvious now, and if you look at particular things, Twitter is where so like you said, everything, what they've done here is the Zionists, it's social media, it's and then JD Vance and these people go out talking about, oh yes, they're losing their democracies in Europe because of all of the censorship. What a joke. Not that he's not right, but it's no worse than here. It's just, I'll put it like this, it's a different flavor. That's all it is.
Well, you're right to look outside to see what's going to come here next. And, when we see people in Europe getting arrested for their social media posts, or even just sharing someone else's post. Oh, you shared a post, knock, 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 you're arrested. I mean, this is stuff we absolutely need to be concerned about. And it's real. And this is what is coming here. And this supercomputer thing, we talk about Palantir, we talk about everybody going to be in this same database. This is not just for our country. This is a global effort to have everybody locked into this technology that includes AI technology. It includes sizing us up with algorithms and saying who is going to be a potential threat in the future. So this goes well beyond what did you do wrong? What protest did you show up to? What post did you share? What conversation did you have on your text message, on your private messaging? This is beyond that. We're going into future crime, right? The future crime, like
pre-crime or whatever they call it.
Pre-crime. So it's sizing you up and saying who fits the mold of somebody who's going to do something against the state in the future. We're going to stop you before you do it. So we're all going to be affected by this. We are affected by this right now. And JD Vance can talk all he wants about our concern with Europe and how we're going to be that free speech country that we elected Trump for. It's not the case at all. This is all theater. We have to look at this closely. And we talk about a king, King Trump, no kings. Larry Ellison is the silent king. We need to look closer at him, and nobody's doing an honest job reporting on that. And can I say this, Garland? You think with all the money spent on no kings, all the money spent on let's get the country in a state of fear because we got this Emperor Trump out of control, it didn't cross any of their minds to tell the people and educate the people about Larry Ellison, the actual king, the silent king who's buying all this stuff up and controlling more data than anybody in the planet. They don't mention it, and there's a reason, and that's the thing we should really be talking about.
And I think the guy, if I'm not mistaken, isn't the guy, what is it? What's the name of that? The 2 people who ran the whole No Kings thing. It was
you had the Walmart
Leah
era.
Green. It was it was Leah Greenberg, Indivisible, and Ezra Levin. Those are the 2 people who ran it. Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin. There we go. The Clinton. Oh, this is great. Meet the organizers behind the No Kings protest, individuals Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin. Why do I have a feeling that Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin ain't going to be real thrilled? They're not going to be leading the fight to stop Larry Ellison from zionizing all of Hollywood and everything.
No, not at all. Because that's their job, is not to do this. So by elevating this Trump narrative, they're protecting what's the thing that we really need to be concerned about. And nobody knows about this. We go out here in Hollywood, we talk to people, we ask them, what are your thoughts on Larry Ellison? We know a lot of people here in Hollywood, they are absolutely affected by the strikes. We've had all these strikes over the last couple of years with all the unions. We have this AI problem in our industry where people are getting exploited for their work and not getting paid for it. We have jobs being lost all over the place. So people are aware of this. They see Paramount and this, what's going on with the Netflix deal? And they kind of have a little bit of a sense of it, but they don't really know the background. They don't really know where Larry Ellison comes from. And we can't really even have a conversation with these people because they're still caught up on, well, Trump's the one that wants to take over the world. Trump's the one that wants to be the next Hitler, and Putin too. The two of them want to rule the world together. And you're not looking at the backstory. Larry Ellison, he had $500 billion investment from Trump on day 2 with his AI Stargate initiative, that mRNA AI stuff. He did that on day 2. We should have been concerned on that alone. You go back before that, this guy's put in $50 million into the IDF, his company Oracle. That's probably the biggest problem of all. What Oracle is, where it came from, basically an intelligent apparatus for Israel. That's what Larry Ellison is. He's now calling himself an entertainment guy, but that's not where he started. He is an intelligent apparatus for Israel. And that's the conversation we need to have, why he's buying all these companies up. And like you said, Garland, he doesn't even care about turning a profit. He just wants to own all of it.
Yeah. And so what do you end up with? A Hollywood where, number one, either like every movie, there's 4 openings. And instead of like finding out, man, we got to find 4 good actors and actresses, they say, well, let's see, we've got to have 1 gay person, 1 white male, 1 Latino, and 1 overweight Black female. You know what I mean? That's reality. That's like, and now if you're an outstanding actor or actress, your ability is irrelevant. Do you fit the slot of that? Okay. And the 4 people that fit those slots can be the least talented people on earth. But guess what? We need 1 overweight Black female, 1 gay, trans, or person we can't really tell for sure what they are. Then we need the white male. Then we need the white female who's in charge of everything because she's the girl boss. You get that crap. But now add on top of that, you got to be pro-Zionist or you can't get a job in Hollywood. And before you finish, you got a bunch of no-talent schlubs who are nothing. The only real, because even if you fit one of those groups, if you're not a super pro-Zionist, you still can't get a job, and Hollywood becomes the trash that it's becoming.
Well, that part, if anything, if people have not been paying attention to any of these other things, that should concern you the most if you're in Hollywood. And if you consider yourself somebody who's on the side of the people, you would understand that Larry Ellison, one of the first things he did when he got Paramount TV taken over, is he put a blacklist together of actors that aren't allowed to be on Paramount. These are exactly what you're talking about, the Zionists. That they're saying, if you say anything against Israel, if you have any problem with Israel, if we detect that you are somebody that's going to go against our state narrative, then you will not be hired by Paramount. What are we saying here when we talk about that's the person that is controlling the policy of one of the biggest studios in this town. So the fact that people aren't revolting against this here, maybe they don't know, but they need to know, because that's a problem. That should be a problem. And at the end of the day, we're all going to be out of the job anyway because of AI. But still, out of a principle situation, that is not okay. We're being blacklisted for political beliefs. That's not okay, and people should be completely against this.
One of our people in the chat makes a good point that a lot of us talk about, right? And that is, when the vax came out and they started saying you can't work in Hollywood, you can't work anywhere, you can't do this unless you get the jab, and we all said, this is the beginning of something bad. This is it. This is the beginning. Like, it's just going to start here and it's going to continue. And they didn't listen to us. They're like, oh no, go ahead and get the jab or else. So we're like, no, once they start this, before it's going to, now I don't care if you got this, whatever. If you're not super pro-Zionist, if they can look and you've ever said anything other than I love Israel and I support Netanyahu and everything they've ever done, if you said anything other than that, you'll never work again in Hollywood. That's where we're getting to.
Oh, yeah. And then this is why they say we're not allowed to talk about COVID. Well, we weren't allowed to talk about COVID then. Now we're not allowed to talk about COVID because it was so long ago. Come on, Matt. Come on, Garland. Why are you guys living in the past? We're moving on. No, we're not moving on. What you're talking about there is key. They set a precedent. They conditioned the American people. They conditioned the people globally, really. But right here, we can see it. We can see this mindset that when they announce the next thing, it's get in line. It's you've trained the animal to do the thing. You've trained the dog about how do you get your treat. Sit, boy. Good boy. Here's your treat. So we need to talk about how did they get us all to sit? And by sitting in this analogy, that means throwing away everything you believed in as a person of humanity. You X'd out people in your life. You uninvited them to Thanksgiving dinner. You were willing to have people lose their jobs. You said good riddance. Noam Chomsky said put everybody not vaccinated in their own little camp. I mean, these things were said. They were vocalized. And the fact that people say don't talk about it anymore, we did the best with what we could do at the time with what we knew. No, that's not true at all. And even if it was true, even if that's true, even if we did the best we could do with the information we had at the time, we still need to talk about what went wrong so we don't do it again. But that's not what we're doing right now. We're not talking about it. And the next blacklist that comes out of the next threat, everyone's going to line up and they have no problem uninviting mom and pop and brother and son and whoever you have in your family. Uninvite them again because they're on the list.
Well, and here's what you see going. You can't work because you're laid off or fired because you won't get the jab, right? Well, and you can't work or laid off or fired because you're not pro Zionism. We're creating a society where, and it's people looking at, oh, they're doing that in Hollywood. That's going to spread. It's going to spread to corporations. Because if you remember with the jab thing, they started recommending to corporations, we recommend that you follow the guidelines and everybody has to be jabbed. Then what did Biden do? He came out and said, any company that has any contracts or does any business with the U.S. government has to follow our guidelines, basically on firing and laying off anybody who doesn't get the jab and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, because all of these big corporations now, the huge corporations, they all have government contracts, right? If you've got think about this. If you're with Blue Cross or Aetna or United Healthcare, well, they work through Obamacare. So they all, right? Everywhere you look, people have. So once they come out next and say, well, if anybody said anything anti-Zionist, oh, well, if you have a contract with the government, you have to look through all of the social media posts of all of your people. And we have a anti-Semitism czar. I don't know if you've seen that now.
Yes.
And so basically it'll be, if you have made any statements or done anything that's anti-Zionist or not pro-Israel per se, as they stated, you can't work. You'll shut down. You can't have a job. That's what's coming.
That is what's coming. And they're going to make examples of people. They're going to show us what happens. And so the rest of us will second guess whether we want to continue doing the thing we're doing and how far are they willing to take it? How many examples will they be making about this? No, this is a scary time for people with principles, people with values that, we're getting pushed to the limit, and we need to continue to hold our ground right now, Garland. This is more than ever before. This might be harder than us holding our ground during COVID. This might be bigger. I mean, that was our test, right? So if you failed the test at COVID, okay, you figured out what you did wrong. Okay, don't get it wrong this time. This is a way more important test right now because we're going to see people taking the fall, and the rest of us have to stand firm with what's right here, because history, we're going to be on the right side of history. I think that's the thing we need to keep in mind here when we fight this machine, the censorship machine.
What do you think of the release of the Epstein files?
Well, it's not happening. These are blank pages. I mean, this is something that we're not. What we talked earlier about, it's not something that we're going to ever get. The ping pong match is going to continue back and forth, and Trump's going to be able to get away with saying Democratic hoax at the same time. It's because Clinton is implemented in them, and that's what's going on there. So it's this constant contradiction, constant excuse making. But there isn't anybody in this administration right now working overtime tirelessly to get this thing done. They're working overtime to do the opposite, to redact as much as they possibly can. It's not just to protect Trump, it's to protect the entire apparatus. That's what's happening. Anyone speaking up against it, they're being targeted. We know what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene. We know what's happening to Thomas Massie. If you're a Trump guy, you should be paying attention to how Trump is treating those two and what's been going on there, because that is him saying, this is what we say to people in our own party who are saying this is wrong. This is what we do to you. And I hope Thomas Massie can hang on. We know that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said, I'm throwing the towel in at the end of January. And, we don't blame her for that. I'm sure it's taken a toll, but we need more people like Massie to stick it out here as best as they can.
Yeah, I've heard people say, hey, the two of those should run for, that's president and vice president 2028. For the same reason that she stepped down, they ain't running. I think she stepped down because somebody had a talk with her, you know what I mean, and told her, well, either you step down or we're just saying it's a dangerous world out here. Things happen. Not threatening you or anything, but things happen. So that's my belief. I believe she was threatened.
We're not threatening you. We just happen to know where your kids go to school. It's just a little fun fact. I'm not doing anything with it. We just thought you should know. We know that. That's all. So
you know how the game plays. Let me ask you this. This whole Charlie Kirk thing, there's new stuff coming out about meetings at clandestine meetings at military bases. And Nicki Minaj now, they're saying her, Erica Kirk is, man, if she doesn't look like an op, I'm not saying she is. I'm just saying if she was an op, she'd be doing the right thing. She'd be doing well, acting like an op. And now there's, Nicki Minaj. This thing's getting to be a clown show, isn't it?
Oh, it's totally a clown show, and all the spectacle which occurred, this AM Fest that just happened. You're referring to when Nicki Minaj came out, just the entrance, the Erica Kirk over the top entrance with the fireworks, and it's like, do they know how bad this looks? It looks like a spectacle because it is, and so she's going through these motions of trying to rewrite her husband's legacy. That's what's happening here. We're seeing this book being pushed, this language about what we talked about it all the time, this Shabbat Shalom stuff going on. None of that is real. It's all made up after the fact. And we use the term, if Charlie, could see this now, he'd be rolling in his grave. That's definitely applies here, because you're talking. This whole story she concocted. Charlie comes home and on a Friday night, he says Shabbat Shalom, and he takes his phone and he puts it in a junk drawer, and then we spend the Sabbath together. And he doesn't do any posts on Twitter. Never, ever does posts on Twitter from Friday night through Saturday. Really? Because that's easy to check. And guess what? We checked it, and he's done thousands of posts in that time frame. So there's that. But ultimately, you can see the script unfolding, the rewriting of history, the trying to confuse a lot of the Christian followings of Turning Point. I mean, they're trying to confuse them. So luckily, there's people like Tucker that shockingly spoke at that event, which was amazing. That was probably the highlight of the event, was Tucker's speech. But you have people definitely going, wait, this doesn't seem right, but they are certainly fooling a lot of them as well, because this idea that Christians have this obligation to support the Jewish communities as much as they can, and Israel has to be first, even though you're Christian. And this whole thing, this narrative that Charlie was about that. That's funny, because it seems to me that Charlie spent the end of his life questioning this very thing. And that's what we look at. And that's why that is the thing we start from when we start asking real questions about what happened. I would say this: Candace Owens, she's not the only person fighting for the truth. We know there's others, but she's one of the most influential, we should say. And I think that her meeting, apparently 4.5 meetings she had with Erica, that did disappoint a lot of her following, because she didn't seem to have much that came out of that, other than we agreed to disagree, but we did agree on a lot of things, more than I thought. And we're thinking, wait, how does that make any sense? Her entire narrative is the exact contradiction of the questions Candace has been asking the whole time. So that was frustrating. But this is, if you're not paying attention, again, look at her behavior, watch how the things that are coming out of her mouth, and the things that the script she's given, when her monitor goes off, she doesn't know what to do. That also happens. So look for these moments. She's just a puppet, a literal puppet. If you turn off her little monitor, she won't have her script and she won't know what to do. And it's actually happened a few times now.
Yeah, she just seems, this is like, that's the most suspicious thing I've ever seen in my life with her. Like the weirdness of her, man, just this immediate recovery. He's dead one day, next day she's out dancing in the streets with pyrotechnics taking it over, you know, and you look at the history and that and Israel. I mean, everything just stinks to high heaven. It stinks. It's like you do not have to be Sherlock Holmes to look at this and say, something ain't right here. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like looking at Kash Patel and his girlfriend and not scratching your head saying, well, geez, why is it all of these guys have girlfriends that are like, they met in Israel or works for an Israel 8200 operation, or they, all of them. And I'm supposed to think that that's coincidence? Yeah, well, I think there's good.
No, I was going to say, luckily in that case, Stephen Miller's wife sat down to really get to the bottom of those two relationships. So luckily we got that one solved, and they totally check out, because Kash and his girl, they had to talk about what a long distance relationship was like and why he hasn't put a ring on it. So I feel comfortable now, Garland, that relationship checks out, because we had some really good journalism done by Stephen Miller's wife. So that's good. That checks out.
Yeah, what a interesting group. Well, I got to get ready to run, but thanks a lot for coming back on. Well, we got another 26 minutes in. I think we got close to our hour. Matt, tell everybody where they can find your THL Presents and all that stuff.
Yeah, so it's The Homeless Left. We're on Rumble, so you guys can find us pretty easily there. The Homeless Left. On YouTube, we got the name back after they terminated our first channel, The Homeless Left. We got the name tagged on now, but you just look for THL Presents, as Garland said. And you can find us on YouTube as well. We're doing pretty good on both channels. We appreciate all you guys' support. We're on Tuesdays and Thursdays all throughout the afternoon. And so we'll be on tomorrow. So we'll see you guys then.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for coming back. And I had a little power loss, but we got back on and finished our hour out, and look forward to getting together with Max, with Matt again next week.